What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfcrier here, back with a Necromancer build guide. This is for the Pestilence Corpse Lance speed farming build, and I gotta say, this just might be the most satisfying and fun Necromancer build out there. Easily capable of sub 2 minute T13 and GR65 or GR70 runs. Okay, so let's dive right into the gear. First and foremost, you need all 6 pieces of the Pestilence set. The shoulders, helm, chest, gloves, pants, and boots. For the 2-piece set bonus, you fire off an additional corpse lance with every consumed corpse. And the 4-piece gives you damage reduction. Every enemy hit by your corpse lance reduces your damage taken by 2% up to a maximum of 50% damage reduction. For the 6-piece set bonus, every corpse you consume gives you an empowered bone spear, increasing the damage by 3,300%. Plus, your corpse lance damage is increased by 1,650%. Now let's talk about stats on these pieces of gear. For your shoulders, your desired stats are Dex, Vitality, cooldown reduction, and corpse lance damage. On your helm, you're looking for Int, Vite, critical hit chance, and a socket. And on your chest piece, Int, Vite, corpse lance damage, or armor here, depending on whether you need the damage reduction or the damage itself. Now on your gloves, a perfect rolled gloves would have critical hit chance, critical hit damage, attack speed, and cooldown. But I would definitely go with critical hit chance, critical hit damage as your main stats, and then preferably cooldown or attack speed. Now for your pants, pretty basic. You're looking for intelligence, vitality, and armor. And your boots, you're looking for intelligence, vitality, armor, and move speed. But you could go with bone spear damage if you want some more damage for your bone spear, which we do use in this build. Now the next set we use is the Endless Walk set. While moving, you take 50% less damage, and while standing still, you ramp up to 100% damage increase. Now for your amulet, the perfect roll would be poison damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. But if you can't get the perfect roll, go with Int, crit chance, and crit damage. For your compass rose, you're looking for crit chance, crit damage, and CDR or attack speed if possible. I know that's really hard to get on a compass rose, so try to make sure you have crit chance and crit damage. Now for your other ring, you're using Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. Reduce the remaining cooldown of one of your other skills by 1 second when you hit with a resource spending attack, i.e. Bone Spear. The stats you're looking for on this ring are critical hit chance, cooldown reduction, and attack speed or crit damage. If you can get the crit damage on it, all the better, but most of the time you're just going to end up with crit chance, CDR, and attack speed along with the socket. Now in your belt slot, we want the Vigilante belt. This is the only belt in the game that can have cooldown reduction as a stat. Ideal stats are Int, Vite, Life percent, and cooldown reduction. And since this is a speed farming build, Nemesis Bracers are your best option. These allow you to spawn an elite group at every pylon and shrine, increasing your progression and your death's breath drops. Now stats you're looking for are critical hit chance, poison damage, intelligence, and vitality. For your weapon slot, we're using Ingiome. Your skill cooldowns are reduced by up to 10 seconds for 15 seconds after killing an elite pack. And this will greatly help in making sure your Land of the Dead is off cooldown quickly, as every elite pack killed takes off those 10 seconds. So if you kill 3 elite groups during your Land of the Dead, it's going to drop the cooldown by 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. For the stats, you're looking for a high damage roll, intelligence, damage percent, and cooldown reduction. Next up is your offhand, and you can use any offhand you want. Just look for a high damage roll, intelligence, cooldown reduction, critical hit chance, and if possible, corpse lance damage. Now for your cube, we're looking at Nair's Black Death in the weapon slot. Each different poison skill you use increases the damage of your poison skills by 100%. And since we use 3 different poison skills in this build, you're looking at a 300% damage increase. And over in the armor slot, we are using Corpse Whisper Pauldrons. Corpse Lance damage is increased by 30%. Every time you consume a corpse, stacking up to 20 times. This is going to be a massive damage increase for the build. And over in the jewelry slot, we have Chrisbin's Sentence, giving you 100% damage bonus to slowed enemies and 300% against those affected by other forms of CC, i.e. Land of the Dead. This is a huge damage bonus to the build. Now let's talk about the gems. First up, we have Bane of the Trapped. Increase your damage against enemies affected by control impairing effects by a certain amount. This gem is pretty non-negotiable as it brings a ton of damage for us. Then we have Zay's Stone of Vengeance, which increases your damage as the distance between you and the mobs increases, allowing you to wipe stuff out as it becomes visible on the screen. And lastly, I use Gogok of Swiftness. This gives you some dodge chance, but mainly I use it for the cooldown reduction. Now you could switch this out for Bane of the Powerful if you so choose, but I think this really helps out with the cooldown reduction issues that you may have and helps make sure Land of the Dead comes off cooldown nice and fast. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at the skills. First up, we have Corpse Lance Ricochet. Now, this is a poison damage skill, so this is going to trigger your Nair's Black Death, and each Corpse Lance has a 20% chance to ricochet to 1 additional target. Now, this includes all of those Corpse Lances launched by your Pestilence set, which is very awesome. There's going to be so many Corpse Lances all over your screen. It's pretty amazing to watch. For your next skill, we're using Bone Armor Dislocation. This is another poison-based skill, which is going to increase your damage based on the Nair's Black Death. So another 100% damage increase from this skill. And enemies hit are also stunned for 2 seconds, which is going to proc your Chrisbin's Sentence, adding that 300% increased damage from the ring slot in your cube, which is just plain flat out awesome. Then we're looking at Devour Cannibalize. You consume corpses within 60 yards to restore 10 essence per corpse. You also gain 3% health back with each corpse consumed. And with every corpse consumed in this manner, you also launch 1 more Corpse Lance from your Pestilence set, which is just massive. Like I said, this build is so fun because there are just Corpse Lances flying all over your screen. I really enjoy playing this build. For your next skill, we're looking at Blood Rush Molting. This is going to allow you to pretty much navigate through the rift at will, especially once that Ingion procs. There's pretty much no cooldown on this skill, and you're able to jaunt at will. And not only that, but it leaves a corpse where you took off from, so that can be consumed to give you back some health and fire off yet another Corpse Lance. Then we're looking at Bone Spear, Blighted Marrow, your third poison ability, which is going to give you that 300% damage increase to all your poison skills every time you use it. Not only that, but this is what is used to trigger your Obsidian Ring to make sure that you are getting your Land of the Dead off cooldown as quick as possible. Plus, it deals a bit of damage itself and very useful while Land of the Dead is on cooldown to trigger something in order to cause yourself to have more corpses to fire off Corpse Lances. The way I run this build is I'm pretty much dashing around, firing off Bone Spears pretty much all the time as I consume using Devour and fire off Corpse Lances manually against elites, and you're pretty much able to bring that Land of the Dead off cooldown very, very quickly. And last skill on the list is Land of the Dead Frozen Lands. All corpse skills can be used at will for 10 seconds. You no longer need corpses. This just fires off everything. This is what's going to make Corpse Lances just fly all over the place. Not only that, but enemies in Land of the Dead are periodically frozen, which is going to trigger your Chrisbin's Sentence, pretty much allowing you to just obliterate everything on the screen. And with all the cooldown reduction in this build, plus the obsidian ring, this is usable quite often. Sometimes you can trigger it 3 or 4 times in a row, depending on the elite pack density in the rift, but overall, you're able to use this really quick. You don't have to worry about that 1.5 to 2 minute cooldown because in Guillaume, Obsidian Ring, your cooldown reduction, it's all going to make it come back nice and quick for you. So you're able to just blow up everything in the rift. Now let's go ahead and talk about passives. First up, I use Standalone because why not? You don't use any minions whatsoever. Increase your armor by 100%. Period. We don't have to worry about that. 10% loss for each active minion because we don't use minions whatsoever. Then we have Fueled by Death. Consuming a corpse increases your movement speed by 3% for 5 seconds. This effect stacks up to 10 times and you are constantly consuming corpses. So you pretty much have the full 30% bonus to your movement speed at all times for the most part. Very useful for speed farming. Definitely needed in this build. Then we have Blood is Power, which is just another way to gain even more cooldown reduction. After cumulatively losing 100% of your max life, you don't have to die to trigger this. You just have to lose 100% of your life, and then all your cooldowns are reduced by 20%. Once again, you want to keep that Land of the Dead up as often as possible because that's what's going to be doing most of the killing in the rifts. So Blood is Power is very useful for that. Next up, we have Final Service. When you take lethal damage, you are sustained, preventing all damage for 4 seconds. Pretty much your get out of death free card. Always useful, especially on the Necromancer, because you can be quite squishy even in this build. But most of the time, you've got everything frozen from your Land of the Dead. So overall, I really enjoy playing this build. Hopefully, you guys got some use out of this build guide. Hopefully, you enjoy it. Let me know in that comment section if you want more of these Necromancer build guides, because I will be happy to oblige. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to check out my video. I always greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you guys have a fantastic day. Peace.